So I want to make this quick little video because right now Republicans are furious with President Biden and the Biden administration. And it's because there's a lot of stuff going on. Inflation is still at 8.5%, but over the next 2 weeks, it's likely to jump up once again. We know the economy has contracted by 0.4% just in Q1 of 2022, which annualized would be a 1.4% decline in our GDP. There's also a very good chance we are in the middle of a recession, gas prices are through the roof, and food prices keep on increasing. And right now, Republicans are so upset because President Biden just keeps on talking about giving away more money. No matter where you look, the Biden administration says we need to give more money to these people. We need to give more money to that country. We need to do this and we need to do that. But nowhere does he really discuss how are we going to pay for this. Well, here's what I can tell you. Republicans got even more mad today when President Biden announced earlier that he's going to ask Congress for $33 billion in additional funding to help Ukraine. Now, I'm all for helping another country when we can. The problem is, and this is what many people are saying, moderates as well, is that they are for helping Ukraine. They understand the situation that they've been put in. The problem is, can we, here in the U.S., can we afford to keep providing additional assistance and relief to Ukraine? Because there's other countries out there and not many are really helping, which is a big issue. It puts it all on the back of the U.S. and the U.S. taxpayers. Now, the $33 billion would go towards military equipment, which we have a lot of equipment. But at the same time, if we jump into the middle of this war between Russia and Ukraine, the issue there is, and Vladimir Putin has already said, he will come after those that do help Ukraine. Now, do I think he's going to jump at the chance of going after the U.S.? I don't, but it's also a possibility. And if he does, do we have the resources to be giving all these resources away when we could be looking at a war ourselves? Now, some of the $33 billion would also go towards food aid and other supplies. So it's not just towards military equipment. But again, this is why Republicans are so upset, is because all President Biden is doing is giving away all of our resources. But then when it comes to trying to get more, we're kind of stuck. But that's not it. Republicans are also extremely upset because President Biden is attempting to forgive student loan debt. Now, today, President Biden did make it very clear that he's not really looking at $50,000. And what he said was this, I quote, "I'm considering dealing with some debt reduction. I'm not considering $50,000 debt reduction per borrower, but I'm in the process of taking a hard look at whether or not there will be additional debt forgiveness." Yeah, reading some of his quotes, a little bit difficult. Anyway, and then he goes on to say, "I'll have an answer on that in the next couple of weeks." Now, here's the problem. If we forgive student debt, and I think there's some people out there that should have their student debt forgiven, obviously for certain reasons, but should just every single person that has student debt get up to $10,000 forgiven? Probably not. Okay, most likely not. And Republicans are extremely upset because they are saying that they believe people who signed up for these loans should be required to pay them back. Because they say doing this would be the equivalent of taking on a credit card debt or a mortgage just in the hopes that somebody else comes in and pays it off for you. Because that's essentially what's happening, is the American taxpayers are going to have to pay for this. We are going to have to pay for this, or the millionaires, the billionaires, the large corporations are going to have to pay for this. But then think about that. Okay, so the large corporations have to pay for the new student loan debt forgiveness. Okay, that's understandable. But what are they going to do? Well, the most likely scenario is that corporation pushes up their prices to make more money because now they got to regain the profits that they just lost because they had to pay more in taxes. And guess who's going to pay that? Yeah, you and I, the consumers. That's what's going to happen. And if that wasn't enough, Republicans say there's still a crisis down at the border. Right now, Republicans worry that too much money is being wasted right now due to the border not having tighter security. Because what's happening is the American taxpayers have to pay for illegal immigrants to come into the United States to get them to be processed. They go about their business here in the U.S. in many cases, and even the governor down in Texas was sending busloads of people up to Washington D.C. That if you want to allow people into the country, you deal with them up in Washington D.C. So they were sending busloads of people right up to Congress. So we'll see what happens there. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of frustration amongst Republicans, and right now the Biden administration seems to be doing very little to control what's going on down at the border. Again, making problems a little bit worse. Now, here's what we do know. Republicans are so upset with the Biden administration. According to multiple reports, experts are also predicting this, is that when it comes to a vote on anything for a new bill, President Biden is going to have a difficult time passing anything because Republicans are going to vote no. Republicans will block every single vote until President Biden addresses more of their concerns. That's what's being discussed. Now, I can tell you, based off all the research that I've done lately, that there's discussions between certain Democrats and certain Republicans. They're trying to get on board with certain deals, right? One of them being $10 billion in additional COVID funding. But that isn't the vast majority of Republicans. The majority of Republicans do not want to see an additional $10 billion going to COVID funding. And one of the reasons why is not because we need to continue these, testing, vaccinations and all this other stuff. Yeah, we should continue that stuff. The problem is Republicans know that every single time Democrats propose a counter, so instead of $20-some billion for COVID funding, maybe let's just accept $10 billion and we'll be fine with that. Well, that's what Democrats say. But Republicans know that's never what happens. They take the $10 billion, they spend it however they want to, and then they come back and ask for more. Well, it's kind of like when you go and ask your parents for some money, or maybe in the past you would ask, can I just have $20? Please, I just want to get this toy or this item right here. Okay, here's $20. And then a couple weeks later, could I just have $20? I would really like to get this. It's much easier to ask for $20 5 times over and get $20 than to ask for $100 up front. And that's kind of the thinking behind Republicans, is they're just so upset that that's exactly what Democrats are doing. They're asking for a little bit here and there. They're just picking away, and then they spend the money or they hide it somewhere. And then later on it comes out that, the money's still there, but yet we've been asking for all this additional funding. So that's why there's so many people that are extremely upset with President Biden and the Biden administration. But just giving you an idea, things are probably not going to get better. They will only get worse, especially as we get closer to the midterm election. So, as always, as we know more information about what's going on, I will provide you with the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.